very warm, cold.
Yeah, I just love it. You know, it gives me it allows the players not to complain about heat. And that's part of it. And I think I just like being warm. It's fun being outside on the field with the players. But yeah, it's more of a mental thing, just making sure our kids have nothing to complain about and appreciating that regardless of the weather, we're rolling.
What have you seen from your young guys where you have a whole bunch of guys rotating, obviously the ones,
Yeah.
those guys first practice? How's the growth been to this point?
Huge improvement from spring ball in terms of not just technique, their physique has changed, their mentality has changed. You know, we're becoming more physical. And because of it, you're seeing what you're seeing on the practice field. We are rotating, trying to compete for spots. You know, I do think there's 6 guys that are competing to start. You know, I think I feel confident with 6 guys playing. Rhino, Cooper, Braylon, Savell, for sure. Savell having a huge camp so far. Jeremiah Martin and Jordan Lolohea. And those guys already come. So you will see a lot of mix and match of all combinations, you know, so they can get comfortable with one another, but more importantly, just making sure they have their chance to go against our best, our one offense, and we can get a great evaluation from that.
You mentioned Savell. How have you kind of seen him progress?
Mentally, I mean, he's really come to compete. I mean, he's playing physical. It's all the other things that he's doing. For instance, the before practice, the after practice, taking care of his body. I mean, he's been in the training room for about 2 hours in post practice, but when practice is done, he's on. If you watch him, he's on the sleds, hitting the sleds again. You know, it's everything he can do to perfect, and that's the thing. You know, it's just maturity for him, but you can tell he's really locked in on trying to not only earn a spot, but making deserving within that room. I think the room is starting to see the change in him as well.
Coach, you mentioned Jordan Lolohea, and the last guy that I can remember that went on a 2-year mission back was Willie Cobb.
Yeah.
Willie, the 320-pound lineman, and came back after his mission at 220 pounds. How hard is that for a guy like Jordan to be gone 2 years and come back into football, and what kind of shape was he in when he returned?
Very hard, you know, very hard. Not only the weight issue because of the LDS mission, you know, and them not being able to work out, but also the mental aspect of it. Him coming back in, he really was a freshman, and then you have to deal with the people that were in your class, that were recruited in your class, and the growth that they've had, and then incoming freshmen, right? You don't see yourself as an incoming freshman, but he really was, and he was kind of at that level. So he battled with that all last year. This summer, one of the best workouts he's had since he's been here. He's changed his body. His body's now developing, and he's starting to go back to the player that we saw at East High School in Utah. So really, really excited about him. You can see his confidence has built all through summer and even through fall. So when he went in with the ones today, didn't skip a beat. He didn't skip a beat, and you know, I really look forward to good things from him.
How different is it right at this point compared to last year at this point? Because I think you had Tryon opt out.
Yeah.
You got Latu gets injured. So that one side, opposite Bowman, you're down to like the 3rd guy.
Correct.
How much better do you feel about this right now?
I feel like we will be one of the strengths of our defense, and partly, one is the maturity of that group. I think they put it on themselves to make sure we are not one of the weaknesses of the defense. You know, so I thought they had a great offseason, whether it be in the weight room, whether it be in the film room. They've held their own meetings throughout the summer to make sure that when we are here, you know, we're not learning from the start again. You know, we put in some new defenses for them to learn, and we put in some old defenses, but some guys are moving positions, you know, like Cooper McDonald. He moved from inside to outside, and he's doing one hell of a job right now. So I feel real confident. I think more importantly, they feel real confident about their growth up to this point. Now we really got to keep building as we go through camp.
At what point did you start getting updates that ZTF was progressing ahead of schedule?
It's really, daily, I kind of stay out of ZTF's progress because I don't want to get my own self excited. You know, when they tell me he's ready to roll, then we will. You know, I think it's just a day-to-day thing with him. I think what's important for Zion is his He's very mentally strong. He knows what he has to get done. He's in the training room really throughout the day. Whatever he can do, he's doing to give himself a chance to come play. But, it's fun to see him and the excitement that he has, and he's out there coaching. I think that's a benefit for us. Those younger guys, the incoming freshmen, Zion is holding meetings with them as well. So he's taking on his role the correct way, and hopefully we'll get him back.
Feeling comfortable in your new spot? Do you feel like you're in a nice comfort zone there?
Yeah, I love it. I guess, spring ball would be just like the players. I think I had to figure out my own bearings from moving from defensive lineman and then, picking up more coverage responsibilities and talking coverage terms like the defensive backs, but it brought me back to my old playing days and being back in this position. So I'm really excited about it, and I do feel comfortable now teaching what I teach, and then those guys are comfortable learning with my language, kind of transferring from what Coach K has done in the past.
Like, Taki and Thule, have entrenched in, they've played a lot and they've gotten better, but, behind them, who's taking the big steps and ready to plug in?
Well, Tui will be the first one. Tui Tele will be the first one, and he's very smart. He's always been smart, but I think his physical stature is starting to catch up to his mental part. So he's getting stronger on that part. And then the two surprises to me, Jacob Bandis is actually getting better. He's did a good job in the offseason. I think he will continue to progress and get better as a redshirt freshman. But the two incoming freshmen, Kwao and Voi, I think when you guys see Coach Rip, I'm sure he'll talk about those guys. But for how new they are to the program, they fit really well within our program. The physique that they have, the mentality that they have. Kwao was the second strongest bench presser on our team. So those guys have come in prepared. They have taken that step in terms of learning the package, and I think as they progress, they're going to have to get their bumps and bruises like every other freshman. But those guys, I think, will surprise some people this year.
Do you have to share Cooper McDonald with the inside?
No, not at this point. He has the knowledge of both, but I think we're good in depth chart on both sides.
You've obviously had Ryan for 6 years now.
Yeah.
And he's been kind of this mainstay, but how is he a different player than maybe a year ago?
I think it's very typical of a veteran player. We're watching film. I'll give you an example. We're watching film, and I'm just trying to teach the basic of hand placement, footwork, the direction that you're going, and then when I'm done, then he's telling the player, this is why you're doing it. When they're doing this is how it will help you. So he's encouraging them that, putting himself back in their place. But for him personally, he's taken a huge stride. He's learning the back end way more than the front end. He's well known as a defensive run defender as well as a pass rusher, and now he's starting to learn the whole playbook in terms of dropping and playing coverage. So he's picked up his game pretty good, but I think as a leader of that group, he is the leader of our group. He's taken that role on, and I appreciate that.
Is Jeremiah Martin caught on as much as you'd like?
Progressing. I would say he's progressing. And part of it is trying to figure out same as for a transfer. That's pretty common from anybody transferring in from somewhere else and trying to piece together and then use the verbiage that we use. But the skill set that he has is exactly what we need. So the responsibility really will be on myself to make sure that mentally he's caught up faster and then he can progress. I think as camp goes on, I think we'll see what skill set he has.
Okay, I think you might have raised some eyebrows in the spring when you said you thought that Braylon Trice could be even better than Joe Tryon.
Yeah.
I just wonder now that we're 5-6 months later, do you have a follow-up on his progression?
I still feel the same. I really do. I think the kid is progressing really well. He's stronger. He understands his length. Joe had length, and now Braylon's starting to understand how he can use that length. So you'll see him against tight ends, the likes of Cade Otton, which I think is one of the best run blockers in our conference. And Braylon, he's excited to go against Cade, and before he wasn't. The pass rush stuff, he has a knack of pass rush. He's very gifted in pass rush, and he's learning how to counter off of his power moves, right? So he has, he can tell you what he has in terms of his swipe, but he has a counter. He understands run leverage now, and I really believe this. I know I'm saying this on the front end, and he hasn't did much yet. But I think when it's all said and done, I really do believe he will be better than what we experienced with Joe Tryon.
Okay. All right, Trent Duffy's here.
All right, you guys ready?
Trent, just what's it been like from a competitive standpoint in the first 5 days, corners and DBs going against the receivers? What's that been like to this point?
Yeah, I mean, coming back after a long summer of workouts and kind of getting back into the groove of things, I think everybody's competitive edge has kind of kicked in. Weather's trying to get hot and emotions are running high and bodies are feeling a little sore, so that competitive edge is kind of taking over, and it's kind of what you guys are seeing out there right now.
Played a lot of football in your first 2 years, but now being asked, I'm sure, to take on a little bit more of a leadership role. You've been through this before. How's camp feel different compared to previous times?
Yeah, I mean, this is only my second camp, truly. So going into it, it was kind of more of a helping more of the young guys come up. I feel like I've kind of gotten used to the speed of the tempo of the game and the playbook, and I'm starting to key things faster. So it's kind of bringing the younger corners, guys like Jacoby Covington and Elijah Jackson, and some of the guys like Zachary Spears, and getting them up to speed so that, when they get in the game, they're going to be efficient and be productive.
Seems like half the secondary is pretty well set. I mean, everybody's got to compete and hang on to their jobs, but the safeties are wide open and they keep flipping them almost in groups. And what do you see there? Are you kind of curious to see who you're going to back up with, come season opener time?
Yeah, I mean, I think the safeties is one of the most exciting spots as far as our defense, just because there's so many guys that can go into the game. I mean, we got guys like Dom Hampton, Julius Irvin, Kim Williams, Asa Turner, some guys who have experience playing that can get in the game at any point. The game of football is kind of a game where things happen, guys get hurt, people have to jump in. So just knowing that there's guys back there that have experience and guys that I can trust back there is exciting for me, just because I'm able to focus more on what I have to do instead of worrying about telling them plays or worrying about them in the post and things like that.
How do you feel like your leadership aspect has continued to come along as you've become more of a voice, I guess, in that room and with the defense in general?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I feel like I've definitely stepped up more as a leader, just voicing things and voicing my opinion and kind of rallying the defense together. Back in freshman and sophomore year, I kind of took the backseat role and kind of just learned from Elijah, learned from older guys who've been in the system, and pick apart what they've done and how they lead and kind of how they hold themselves within the locker room. And I'm trying to just implement that into my game and just everyday life, just coming to the locker room and just being that figure for people to see, being that person that guys can just know that I'm doing what I have to do and they can trust me out there.
Elijah, what were some of the things from him or some of the other guys who came before you that kind of lasted with you, that you tried to, impart to some of the other guys?
I think just his everyday mindset and the way he just approached practice. I think practice is something that you can kind of get in that lull, get in that just repetition of, okay, it's just another day. But Elijah really took it on as, I'm going to do something out there each and every day with a purpose, with something I really want to get out of this practice. And that's something that I've taken from him and talked to him about and try to implement in my game so that I can build a great camp going into this next season.
When we were in LA, I talked to you about returning punts.
Yeah.
And you said you were going to lobby Jimmy to get a couple of reps on offense.
Right.
Have you approached him on that yet?
I've kind of taken the back seat. We're still early in camp, so I still kind of want to get the whole defense together and get my technique back down and get that going before I jump over on the other side and see if I can get a little reps here and there.
How much of the punt return stuff is sort of instinctive for you when it comes to reading blocks, and how much is sort of intuitive versus how much you've sort of learned over time?
I've done it, for a long time. I've done it in high school, so a lot of it is kind of just natural for me. It's kind of easy for me to go back there and catch it and just read blocks here and there. When I was playing youth football, I've always played running back, so reading blocks, reading holes, things like that is just something I just read easily. And I think Coach Pete, coming in freshman year, have taught me some technique things that I've instilled in my punt returning game that has allowed me to play a little faster and read things a little quicker. So I'm excited for that punt return game. I think it's going to be really fun this year.
Just curious, you've had high credentials since you showed up here and you started right away, and everybody knows in the conference how good you are, but it seems like, and you're pegged in the NFL mock drafts here and there, but it seems like when they pull out like an All-American team or something like that, they just kind of ignore you. And I just wonder if you notice that, if you, obviously, you might not even care about it, but do you feel a little bit disrespected? Because I think you get everything but the attention.
Yeah, I mean, even through high school, I was never that top guy that was always on these boards and things like that. So I'm not really fazed by it. I don't really pay attention to it. I'm more worried more about what I can do for this team and be that leader and kind of help these young guys come up and have a career like I have, so that when I leave and when I'm hopefully in the NFL, that I can look back at these guys and know that they're doing what they got to do.
Hey Trey, how would you describe Julius Irvin as a player?
Yeah, I've known him for a while, since high school, so I feel like I've known him pretty well in what he does. I think he's very instinctual. His dad is actually a Hall of Famer for the Rams, so I think his dad helped him a lot with just the instincts of football, and he's able to read the defense or the offense very well. He's very calm and collect on the field, and he brings a lot of energy to the game that I think is really good for our secondary. I think having a lot of energy and confidence in the backfield is something that you really need as a DB, because a lot of things don't go your way. So being able to just be confident and having fun out there always makes games and practice a lot more fun.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Nice seeing you.
All right, this is Julius National. Go ahead and have a seat. You guys can fire away.
Julie, about a year ago, we sat down with you in a press conference like this, and then the season started and you weren't there. And I just wondered, what was your mindset when you couldn't start? Because you seemed all motivated when we talked to you in the press conference, and you had your injury setback or whatever. How did you handle that?
Well, it was definitely a new experience for me, trying to basically playing the backseat role and just trying to be there for my teammates. You know, the D-line, we have a young D-line, so just trying to be basically that leader for them, that voice for them, you know, whatever they needed. You know, I was just hoping I could do my best to help. So that was basically my whole role. You know, I felt fine. Obviously, I would have loved to compete and help my team, but, you know, it didn't work out that way. So just being there for my teammates.
Sorry. You obviously came back for the last couple of games, but how, just with the full offseason, how do you feel different physically than you did at the end of last season?
I feel great. I definitely feel the best I've ever felt. You know, I feel in shape. A lot of the little injuries, the nicks and stuff I had is all gone. So I'm pretty much healthy, 100%, ready to go. So, yeah.
And from a confidence standpoint, I know that you say you're in the best shape. You know, you came in originally as a freshman a little bit heavier. How did you kind of land at this, and why is this the best frame, I guess, for you to play, you know, as confident and as free as you can?
Well, just basically like through trial and error, you know what I mean? Like coming in way too heavy. You could kind of tell right when, you know what I mean, you go against those other guys and you just watch the film of the older guys. So I was just weighing way too much than I needed to, and I could definitely tell in my play it was bringing me down because, you know, I could only have one good play and then I'll get tired. So losing that weight, that gave me the confidence that I could play with these guys and I could play every down. I'm an every down D lineman. So that's why I feel so confident in that.
Was it Kaika your main recruiter?
He was, yes.
Ben, because I think you had a pretty close relationship with Kaika, and now he's no longer your coach. Rip is. How hard has that transition been?
Not hard at all. You know, we still work with the outside backers a lot. So I still come in contact with Malloy almost every day. So, you know what I mean. Just we still have that relationship that we had before. You know what I mean. Before that, the coaching change. So yeah, it's still great.
You're one of the guys defensively that we'll hear when you make a play. Has your swagger always been there? Is that kind of an inherent thing in your game?
A little bit. I kind of inherited it over here a little bit, you know, just feeding off the energy of my guys, of the death row defense. And it's just like the mentality that we all bring. So we all just try to bring juice to the defense, and I kind of do it a little differently than everybody else do. So, yeah.
What do you feel like it's rubbed off on you in that way?
I think a lot of the former DBs, like just like getting to know those guys and their whole mental and everything, like just chirping all game, but their play backed it all up. So I say that's probably like the main ones, like the older DBs that were here before, like my freshman year. So yeah, those guys definitely.
Would you say you're one of the more fiery guys on this football team? Jimmy Lake said last year he had to kind of slow you down a little bit in practice. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, well, it's just, you get in that competitive spirit and you just don't want to lose. So, he kind of just told me, man, you got to keep your head level, and because in certain games there's going to be situations where it's going to be, the intensity is going to be high. So just to make sure I keep my cool and just keep going. So that was it.
You're the old guy, one of the old guys on the defensive line. You got a couple of freshmen. Do you have to rein them in a little bit, especially number 94?
Yeah, we have younger guys, but like I said, they've been picking up the pieces and they've been running with it. They've been doing a great job, especially with Voy and Kawhi. They've been here a little earlier than Brody and CLC, but they're definitely doing well. They're way ahead than I was as a freshman, so they're gonna be people to mess with soon and upcoming. You guys are gonna see soon. So yeah.
Talk a lot about the connection with you and Taki, but just how much confidence is there when you see him next to you, just in what you guys can do together?
Not only Taki, I feel confidence in everybody. You know what I mean? We're trying to build that confidence with not only Taki, but with Tui, with Noah, with Bandez, with all those guys. So just trying to make sure that it's not only just me and the Taki thing, it's just everybody. So just getting the whole group involved, that's like my main thing right now, just making sure there's just no drop-off.
Last year, Levi opted out and moved on to be a pro football player, and you weren't available right at the start of the season, and you guys are basically young. Was that kind of a perfect world for kind of a dip a little bit? Because now I think you guys are all pretty experienced, and could you talk about last year when you were watching it, and a lot of runs were getting piled up?
Oh, definitely. I think it was just, honestly, it was a learning experience for our younger guys like Bandez, Tui, Noah, guys that I'd never seen the field a lot the year before. So I feel like them stepping in, having a huge role, definitely gave them a lot of confidence. So this upcoming season is going to be a good year. So.
Anything else for Julie? All right, thank you. Not going to help you just on these, you have just a moment. Back there. Thank you. Thanks, Julie. We follow Chris, or? That's fine. All right. No understanding here. Just updated the press release we put out about open practices. The one on Friday is now open. It's at Memorial Stadium in Seattle, downtown. I guess uptown, technically. Anyways, Memorial Stadium by the Space Needle, 10 to noon. There won't be any post-practice press stuff. You guys are welcome to come like anybody else, which probably is not good news, but nonetheless.
It's gonna be very hot.
Yeah. So 10 to noon Friday at Memorial.
Tomorrow's open too, right?
Yes, tomorrow's open to the rebounds already announced, yes. And then, let me just,
Tomorrow's what?
tomorrow's open to the public as well.
Oh, okay.
But that's already announced.
Okay, did you guys already say that, or are we open to?
You can say it now, that's fine. You can do it whatever. Yeah. The other one's not. The other one that's offside is not. It's just, right now it's about, I explained a little to Mike, it's kind of like venue specific in terms of whether they're going to allow it or not. So Memorial is allowing it, so there we go.
Noon to 2, or what time?
No, 10 to noon.
10 noon, okay.
Sam.
Hold on.
Hey, Taki, you seem like you're pretty similar in terms of size-wise, physically, as opposed to maybe last year, but how do you feel different physically, and what's been kind of the focus going into this camp?
Physically, I feel a lot stronger. I feel a lot more stronger. I feel a lot faster. I feel like I am the same like kind of weight as I was last year, but I feel like my body's tightened up a lot more. So that's kind of the difference, and I feel like I'm more conditioned, I guess, because I had a whole summer to train. So yeah.
How would you describe your role on the D-line, and what sort of things are they asking you to do down out?
Just being able to play as many snaps as I have to, and just kind of helping the younger guys catch up and like learn the system, and also kind of be one of those leaders in our position group.
It seems like they're, doing different things schematically in terms of adding an extra defensive lineman at times too, and a lot of that's towards, being determined to stop the run this season. How much emphasis is there on that specifically?
I think that's the biggest thing about Gregory is that's the one thing he's been pointing out to us is the run is the most important thing that he wants stopped this year, with us giving up a lot of yardages last year. But I think he's done a good job of forcing us to kind of focus on that, work on our gap schemes to stop all the inside runs and kind of lessen those yards and then become a better run stop defense.
Do you feel in your progression that you kind of got shoved in there last year? Because, Levi opts out, he was supposed to play, and then Thule is unavailable, and it's just Taki and I think Bronson and whoever else got shoved in there. But were you ready?
Yeah, I was ready. I played behind a lot of great players. You got Greg, Benny, Levi, Josiah. And I think they kind of prepared me coming as a freshman. They kind of helped me with the ropes, especially Greg, and kind of taking me under the wing and just like kind of showing me what I need to do. And then the year after, I kind of got a little bit more playing time. And then last year, I feel like I wasn't really thrown in there. It was just more like next man up. I have to be ready. And I felt like I was ready, and I just kind of had to do what I had to do.
With that same kind of idea, I mean, with you and Thule both, having been here for 3 years, do you feel like it's really kind of your time now to kind of make your legacy, so to speak, I guess?
Yeah, I do think it's time for us to make our legacy. I've been behind a lot of guys, like I said, and I've seen their legacies, and I think for me, that's like the one thing I've been focusing on this year is like making sure that I separate myself, but also help the younger guys. We have a lot of young guys, so I kind of have to help them, but at the same time, it's like I kind of have to be ready to set my own things of who I am, what I want to be known as a UW D lineman. So yeah.
What's your early impression been of Kiao, who came in early and seems like he's been getting praise, and we've seen he's been fiery at times out there. What's your impressions of him early?
I love Kiao. I think he's a great athlete. He's an amazing kid. He's kind of like him and Voy, kind of like my little brothers. They're always at my house, so like. He's a baller. He works hard. His mindset is amazing. I feel like he'll do a lot of great things. And I think behind the scenes, weight room, that kid's an animal and he's hungry. So I'm excited to see what he does this season.
I know you have to hold up to your responsibilities, but what's it like when you didn't have Thule to play with? Because you guys are kind of a natural bookend.
It wasn't that. It sucked, but honestly, it wasn't hard, I guess, because it's always, in our room, it's always next man up. So, like, the 2s and the 3s, they always play as if they're going against 1. So everyone's bond is different, but those younger guys, Josiah, I'm close to everybody. So it wasn't really, a difference, but it would have been nice to play next to him also. But yeah, it wasn't really a difference to me.
You get tired of going up against MJ, Luke, and Henry all the time?
No, it's fun. It's just I try to like switch sides a lot. MJ's my roommate, so I see him all day. But it's like if I'm going against the best online in the Pac-12, I think personally, and probably in the nation. So it just makes me a better athlete. And then I see it as I'm giving them my best look. So when they go against other people, there's no difference.
MJ's your roommate?
Yeah.
What's the inside of your refrigerator look like?
A whole lot of nothing. It's like, we don't grocery shop that much. It's mainly just snacks from here, to-go meals, red card, pretty much it.
What's the challenge of going consistently against a guy like him who's obviously 6'6", 355 and moves the way that he moves?
Challenges is like, I guess, just how strong he is, I guess. He's a strong dude, don't get me wrong. So it's just more like having him have faster feet than him and just using what I have as an advantage, like somewhat my speed, and just kind of out-juking him or like using his power against him, where I force him to put all his weight forward and then just kind of like throw him by. So that's pretty much it with MJ.
Good, Doug? All right. All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.